and welcome back. I'm a hobby software developer. I used to be a professional developer many years ago. In my current setup, I use Visual Studio Code as my go-to IDE for all things related to C, C++, Golang, Python, C Sharp, and a few other things. And more recently, I started looking into the Windows subsystem for Linux, or WSL, or as I call it, WSL. Um, and for those of you who do not know what WSL is, it is a virtualized environment to running Linux distributions within your Windows operating system. And as a developer, I use Visual Studio Code in combination with my WSL platform as my cross platform development environment. The developer experience is quite enjoyable between Visual Studio Code and WSL because of the seamless integration between the two. So, if you are looking at building cross platform applications inside of Windows, I would urge you to take a look at it. You might like it. In any case, this video is not about getting you up and running with Visual Studio Code or WSL per se, but really talk about a challenge I had faced about 3 months ago, wherein I was looking at taking a backup of my distribution, of one of my distribution, Linux distributions rather, and creating a quote unquote a golden image of that distribution instance so that I could use it as my restore point if in case I wanted to fall back to it as in a backup restore sort of an operation. So typically, as you all know, when you create a brand new install of Linux or whatever be it, you would install your third-party apps, your configuration, your app updates, and whatnot, and get it to a point where you like it, and then you want to be able to take an image of it so that you can keep it aside as your backup golden image. And what I'm hoping to cover in this video is the process I use and have been using in the last 3 to 4 months or so. It's been working really well for me, and I'm hoping this will be useful to you as well. Of course, as I say, your mileage might vary, so you might want to tweak this process to your liking to suit your environment. Any case, without further ado, let's get started. So what I have here is my Windows terminal running PowerShell at this point in time. First things first, I want to make sure that um, I don't have anything running in my Windows subsystem or WSL. Right now, it's a clean slate. I don't have any distributions running. So let's go into List TAC online to take a look at a list of distributions that are available to us to install from. So I'm going to pick this last one here, the Ubuntu 20.04, and I'm going to go WSL TAC install TACD and the name of that distribution. So what's this going to do is going to launch the new window to install that distribution. This will take a few minutes, so let me give it a few minutes and I'll be right back. Okay, so looks like the distribution has completed its install. It's asking for my name, a new name, so I'm going to give it N0AGI. And I'm going to give it a password. All right, so that's done. So first things first, I want to make sure, who am I? I'm N0AGI, that's good. And let's do a quick uname. All right, that's good. Also, first things first, I want to do apt get update just to make sure this system or this installation is fully up to speed with the latest and greatest updates and such. This will take a few minutes. We'll let it run. Okay, looks like it's done. Now, one other thing I want to call your attention to is um, I want to install two packages. These are third-party packages which I use for showcasing some visual banners at the time of logging in. One is called the called Figlet, and the second one's called Boxes. And again, these install. These are nothing more than pretty cool, lightweight applications that'll show banners and whatnot on your login or whenever you want them. So that's that. So let's pull up Nano. I'm going to go into my Bash RC, and I'm going to go into the very end of it, and I'm going to pull together this snippet here. This is coming from my self-hosted snippets install. So I'm going to come here and plug that in. So what's this going to do is it's basically going to show a banner with my host name, and that's pretty much it. Exit out of there. There is one more thing I want to do, which is I want to go into sudo nano whack etc whack wsl.conf, and I need to add two lines to this. I believe I have a snippet for it here, just to save you some time. Um, or actually, let's do this. There you go. So my default username is Nagi, meaning when I launch a brand new instance of this image in the future, I want it to default to Nagi as a user rather than falling back to root. So let me put that aside. I'm going to save it and get out of there. So I think we are done. So we have, just to recap, we applied brand new updates to this installation of Ubuntu. We updated our packages. We installed two net new packages, Figlet and Boxes, for showcasing some banners. We updated the Bash RC with a call to this Figlet and Boxes, a very simple example snippet. We updated our WAC@C WSL conf file to point to this Nagi as a user default username. All right. So with that, we'll call. Well, before I do that, I'm going to do one more apt update, just so we are 100% sure that this image has everything we need, right? So now it's done. I'm going to call this my golden image, which I'm going to use for taking a backup of. So I'm going to exit out of here. Now we are back into our PowerShell Windows terminal, and I want to make sure, uh, not install, I want to do list. Whistle list, and it's going to show the image that we just updated. It's still in the running state. We want it in the running state before we do a backup. So make sure your image is running before you take a backup of it, otherwise it won't work. So right now it's running. I'm going to do whistle tac tac export. And what am I exporting? I'm exporting this image, right? And where am I exporting it to? I'm going to export it to a folder I have here. I'm going to call this backups, and I'm going to call this, let's say, uv1.tar. So that's our exported image. That's my golden image for this particular instance. I'm going to do enter. This will take a couple of minutes. Again, this will change or vary depending on how much stuff you added to this base image earlier. We didn't do much really. We added some updates, and we added some packages and so forth. Um, but we didn't do much of any major updates to it. So this shouldn't take too long, hopefully. Okay, so now that we have exported, let's look in our WSL list again. So as you have, or rather, as you can notice here, the state now is stopped. So after the export is completed, the WSLS platform automatically stops that image or the running distribution image, which is fine. So now let's make sure our image is in the backup folder. Let's do lsc:\0 WSL backups, and let's make sure our image is in here, which is this guy here. All right. Um, okay, so now that we have completed our export and we have a backup image of our distribution with all of our greatest settings and configurations and whatnot, let's go back to our WSL list and let's make sure we unregister our um, Ubuntu image from here. So what we are trying to do here is mimicking that somehow we lost this image and we don't have a working copy of our distribution. So we should have a clean slate. And now let's talk about how to restore from this backup image we talked about. Okay, to import, the command is WSL tac import, and we want to give it a name. Let's call it UV1 as an example. And where is it you want to restore this image to? So I'm going to pick a folder. Let's say in my working folder here, I have a restore folder. I'm going to call it UV1 as an example. So that's where I want to restore this backup image to. And where is the backup located? It's located in our backup folder where we had backed up the tar file into. So which is, I believe, this one here, uv1.tar. All right. So what this will do is it'll take the backup image that we stored here, will restore it into this location, and then it'll call the image under the name UV1. So now if we go into WSL list tac v, oh, uh, tac list tac v, now we have, let's do this again here. Now we have our UV1 image that's been imported. Its current state is stopped, and we should be technically back to where we were at the time of backing up the image. So now if I want to do WSL, an instance of or it's going to start the UV1 and it's going to log us in. And typically, it would log you in as root. However, if you recall, we went into the etc wsl.conf file and we added these two lines. And what that meant was for us to log in as my account name rather than as root. So if we do this now, this should pull up the instance with me logged in. So if I do who am I, it should say N0AGI. And at the same time, now you have the banner that we had created in the .bashrc file. All right, so I hope that's useful. And this is a life-saving operation for me because I do update my base image quite a bit with new dev tools. There is a version for each of the developer environment for me, which I have backups for. So really, it helps me save a ton of time if in case I need to restore back to a certain point. So anyways, thanks for watching. I hope this was useful, and we'll talk soon, and God bless.